Would you look at that sexy intro? That's a big shout out to our boy Sean Wingblade making the fancy intros for the show. And what's up, Flickin' Fanatics? It is Jesse Swift, your main host for the show. But I do, of course, with me, as always, have Sean Wingblade. But that's not all. As you can see in this beautiful thumbnail here, we have the FCL Star Wars champion of the world, Brendan Marr, making his flicking real debut today. We're very excited to have him on the show. But before we get started, we're going to hit you with one of these. Hey, let's get everyone unmuted here. My blood's pumping. Like I could listen to both of those intros, the one you made, the one I made. We've got a lot of energy. Now Brendan's got to make an intro for us, and we'll have the trifecta going. Brendan Marr on the show today, the mystical Star Wars champion of the First Class League. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's an absolute pleasure. You're somebody that's always in the chat conversing and keeping it interesting. So we appreciate you using your Nightcrawler Banff technique and teleporting from the chat onto the screen today. It's awesome to have you. And what an awesome episode to come on for. Arguably, maybe the best episode to come out on for.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you before we get kicking into it is how have you been enjoying the show before, or how do you feel about it right now? Because I think Sean and I have talked ad nauseum about the show for the last 4 weeks now.
Brennan, what do you think, bud?
Well, you know what? I absolutely love it.
We need more.
I understand that with all Star Wars things, there's going to be a lot of debate. That is just the nature of Star Wars. Every new Star Wars thing, piece of media that comes out always brings with it the dread that it's going to light the internet on fire. But in the bad way that burns the internet down. And certainly we've heard some interesting voices thus far. But for myself, I've absolutely loved it.
We often a war among the stars whenever any new content comes out from Lucasfilm. That is for sure. I try to err on the side of positive or positively optimistic. And even that being said, I can't say the show's been a perfect home run, but I certainly don't hate it. And I think it's got some highlights. And Sean, just a quick recap. How have you felt about it?
I think my kids are killing each other.
Either that or you're also possessed.
Something's happening, and there he is. Come back to me.
Okay, we'll come back to you. All right, so everyone, this is Chapter 5, or the backdoor pilot for Season 3 of The Mandalorian, but it is Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, on the Book of Boba Fett, and we're going to get into some of the things that happens. What's going to be a little more difficult about this episode is we usually talk about pros and cons, and I'll be honest with you, I pretty much loved every second of this trailer. Or not trailer, the show? I almost said movie. So I'm going to be bouncing off to you guys a lot, and then just kind of like doing rebuttals off of that and building off your thoughts and ideas and things like that. So let's talk about, we talked about our overall thoughts on the show thus far, but Brendan, if you were to take just a couple minutes to say your overall thoughts for this episode, how did it make you feel without really diving into spoilers? What'd you think, Chapter 5?
Well, I loved it. I loved the fact that it was the fact that the Book of Boba Fett is a spin-off of The Mandalorian. And ergo, it made sense to me to have an episode devoted to the Mandalorian as a character, because his journey is connected with the journey of Boba in so many ways. thematically, and also just that they did cross paths,
Mhm.
and they are going to cross paths again. And this idea of rebuilding oneself that is very prevalent in the Mandalorian, and now in Book of Boba Fett. It's both these characters are having to, and even Fennec Shan are needing to rebuild themselves literally and figuratively. And seeing Boba or Mando, I'm going to get the two mixed up because my name.
Mando
But
Fett.
Mando Fett. Seeing Mando kind of like, well, what's he doing now that a certain character is no longer with him?
Right.
Where is he at? And I love this episode in that it deals with that. I love the throwbacks to the prequels.
Dave Filoni always
Absolutely love
paying
that.
mad respect to the prequels.
Yes.
Right.
Making everything better retrospectively.
Yes. And just the fact that we see more of this crazy Mandalorian culture, particularly the group or cult, I'll say,
Mhm.
that he's hanging out with. And
The religious zealots.
but I love it because of just everything it does. I had very little complaints about this episode, and it's just so cool to see the Darksaber being practiced with,
And the
and
lore.
other things that
The
are
lore
the
being
lore.
expanded
the lore.
on both the Darksaber, on Mandalore itself, the divide between the people we know like Bo-Katan Kryze and the Watch. And it sounds like the Watch kind of blames a lot of what happened with Mandalore on Bo-Katan, which that's a big accusation.
Yes.
And finally seeing some of that. So yeah, we will, like you said, very, very few complaints. I think if I were going, we'll do pros first. I love, like you were saying, bringing back stuff from the prequels. I love seeing the N1 class Naboo starfighter.
Yes.
If you didn't know it was coming, at first under the tarp, it almost looks like a pod racer, and you think Tatooine, and you're like,
100% what I thought it was.
Or I was thinking General Grievous's little ship.
Oh yeah, that's a
episode 3.
Oh.
But it was like, and not what I was thinking.
The tarp starts coming off, and you see that and stuff. And I was talking to my wife about it when we were watching the show. She's like, "Oh, I missed the Razor Crest." I'm like, "But this thing's going to be so fast." And in fact, we got to see Beggar's Canyon again, which is referenced, of course, in the original trilogy. But then we get to see it in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And you still, I sent you the TikTok earlier. Someone paused. You can see the remnants of the barricade
where Anakin
went up the hill on.
Way.
And he when he goes off course and goes up on top thing, there's still a barricade shattered on the ground.
And I got to bring up
how many people do you think are watching the Phantom Menace today?
Probably a fair amount.
Like, ooh.
Right.
Allison said I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. I love hearing that line. Pedro does a thing with his voice that isn't natural, and I think it makes a lot of us question our sexuality. But it was good to hear. It was good to hear Mando again. AJ Lancaster in the chat. What's up, buddy?
What's up, AJ? Thanks for stopping by, bud.
AJ.
You didn't get to me because my kid rudely interrupted. I love
Maybe
this
you should
episode.
throw a DVD at them now.
I should. I don't have any more handy.
Phantom Menace, right in the eyeball.
Use the Force.
I love this episode, but this to preface or give a foreshadowing to our cons. It makes me realize how much I'm settling for the rest of the series because I love this one so much, and it had nothing to do with our main character of the show that we're watching.
Boba Fett is living off.
So I just hate the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
I just hate the way that made me feel, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how much I missed this, and that the rest of the show hasn't hit for me. It's been good, it just hasn't hit as hard as like this episode did, and how new and fresh and exciting Mandalorian was for both seasons.
I think because just once you strike gold, it's so hard to.
And
I feel like
the pacing of this entire series so far has been so different. It's been such a different
Yeah, it
vibe.
is different. Yeah.
So it's just hard. It's hard to just kind of glom on and remember the same excitement. It's like two different flavors of ice cream. They're both ice cream. It's just like which one's your favorite type of thing. You know, that which one would you prefer if you
and
had
I
the
think
choice?
a part of that, not to compare apples to oranges necessarily, but I feel like Mando, for the most part, we're guaranteed to have something new and refreshing every week. That was a little bit of like the Western inspired like journey of the week format that
Sure.
it had. Boba Fett is a lot less like what's happening this week and more like a story stretched out over 7 episodes or kind of 6 episodes. I did find it interesting that they said Boba Fett was going to be 7 episodes, and now we know kind of what the 7th episode was. Because I think it's 6 episodes of Boba and
a
Boba's
bottle.
backdoor pilot. Yeah.
Right. Backdoor season premiere to season 3 of Mando. Yeah.
I love The Mandalorian. I love this episode, and I think I am enjoying Boba Fett. It's not the worst Star Wars. It's not the best Star Wars. It is Star Wars, which is often good enough for me. But yeah, this episode really, and it's so great to have Bryce Dallas Howard back. I believe last time we had her on board was the Bo-Katan episode in season 2, which is one of the best.
When we first meet the 3.
That's a good one.
Next to like the Ahsoka Tano episode. There's some really good episodes there. I'm really curious to see how much Mando solo stuff we might get in the next episode, or is it pretty much going to be like him going to meet up with Grogu is going to be off screen, and then he's going to come and meet up with Boba Fett, and then when we get Mando season 3, we're going to get to actually see it. Like it might retroactively. But it is important that they spend this time with this episode, because if Din just shows up, we have so many questions, right?
Yeah, good point.
Because of where we left him. What is he doing? What's he been doing with the Darksaber? What's his purpose right now? But now I feel like we have a better idea. Ultimately, he wants to reconnect with Grogu. He doesn't really know what to do with the Darksaber, but we know that he's now on a mission of redemption, because the armorist told him, you're not a Mandalorian anymore because you removed your helmet.
He decides, screw the Children of the Watch.
Which
because they're a cult of weirdos.
But now he's going to go skinny dipping in the pools of Mandalore. And
which I think he probably will do.
Yeah, I would love for him to just tell him to F off eventually.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
But it looks like he's going to do one
to have the catalyst go back to the planet Mandalore.
Which is going to be, I think Mandalore is going to be a rude awakening for him, because it's been built up as something that got like turned to glass, just got completely blown apart.
There and it's all Mad Max.
Yeah, but
what is the current status of Mandalore?
That's what we don't know. We were told by a couple different, like by Boba Fett and Armorer.
During the Imperial era, it was rather completely obliterated.
Yeah, they call it the Great Purge or the Night of 1,000 Years.
Bombed and looked like nuclear weapons almost.
Bo-Katan said to Boba Fett, I believe in season 2, don't believe everything you hear. So there's something mysterious, I think, about the state of Mandalore.
Yeah, they may have rebuilt more than...
Brandon Buckingham says this episode of the Book of Mando Fett was amazing. I agree. Can we get hashtag Mando Fett going?
Yeah, Star loved it.
What's up, Star True?
The best version of the Netflix spin-off episode. Yeah, I mean, basically, they're gonna try to set up for more if they can, and they're gonna give chances to give a shout out to the next generation or the next series that's gonna come down the road. So they did a good job at reminding us that maybe how much we loved them.
Star Wars has kind of always done that in a way.
And I don't know
because of its out of order storytelling.
True. I don't know if you guys are a fan of this, but I love when we get little moments of levity or relatability in Star Wars. And so seeing Din get on a commercial flight, especially after going down to LA not that long ago, I thought that was a fun thing to see. And then we see the little it's a Rodian?
Rodian that's looking at him, yeah.
That guy. I want to punch him in his stupid Greedo looking face.
I was like, oh, baby Greedo.
You know what's funny? It's like I always tell myself, like, I'm glad I'm not a racist. And then Star Wars happens, and I'm like, I am definitely a Star Wars racist. Because Greedo's ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Every time I see a roadie. Or well, it was Greedo and then the guy in the first episode of Boba Fett. Well, you guys are both piles of trash. Brent, I want to ask you, you said you didn't have a lot of cons. Was there anything that stood out to you as being a not absolute plus? Or maybe you would have changed or tweaked even?
You know, I've come to this point in my life, and I think this is because of, over the years, I've gone through some interesting ups and downs with my feelings, particularly about, say, the prequel trilogy. I've gone on a journey. And I realized that, and I think we're all probably guilty of this. Yeah, it's true, Brandon. I like that when he accidentally cut himself. But it made me think of the fact that all of us have spent hours and hours saying, if I had written it, if I had written the prequels, there would have been this, and this.
Right.
Yeah, mine would have been better. You know, most of us saying that we've never actually made a movie. And I came to the realization that, you know, I no longer really watch things and say, well, if I had done it, I would have done this, because I don't have the clue and that how to actually tell this story.
Right.
So to me, I wouldn't have changed anything. And also, you don't know. And in fact, I think it took some things that I was a little iffy on, like Pelly, and now I actually kind of like the character.
That was another conversation I was having with Lauren.
And when I first met her, I didn't hate her, but I was like, okay. I know that the internet certainly didn't like her when she first appeared.
I definitely didn't like her when she first showed up. And then I do feel like for me, it was very progressive as far as like how much I didn't like her. It's just kind of like, I was like, okay. I think the episode that she got introduced, if I remember right, I might not have loved that whole episode. Yeah, okay. It was the Gunslinger.
Chapter 5, Season 1.
One of my least favorite episodes of
I think a lot of people probably are the same.
I think that wasn't the same episode as the other bounty hunter, though? The
Calican.
Yeah, the wannabe Han Solo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think he got a lot of flack, and a lot of people on the internet were hating on that dude. And
people hating on a Star Wars product?
It doesn't happen, right? And he's the one who ended up shooting Fennec, right? He's the one who killed her effectively until
blew out her
Boba found
her.
Right. When Pele, right? She popped up on screen today. Pele. Immediately right away, because I was more annoyed with the silliness, I guess, in the past. I immediately rolled my eyes, like, oh great, she's
not
back.
her again.
Yeah, basically. But the more she was on screen, the more they did the entire montage of fixing up the Starfighter. I actually grew to like her. I was like, oh, she's actually really fitting in well. She's doing a good job, and like her brand of kind of goofiness started to grow on me more.
It's like Bill Burr. When he first appeared, everyone was like...
That's a great point, yeah.
It's like, oh my word, not Bill Burr. And then the second episode he's in, it was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the episode...
Probably one of the best scenes in Mando.
Yes.
Season 2 is when they're sitting at the table with the Imperial officer.
Yep, at the lunch table.
The guy from Game of Thrones. And then Meigs Mayfield, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Meigs, yeah.
Mayfield just like goes up and shoots him, just kills him. And it was so like, okay, now we like Bill Burr in Star Wars.
Right. Wasn't that the same actor that played Joe Chill in Batman Begins?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. That was him.
Oh, okay.
But Star Wars is everywhere.
Right.
Speaking of the stars,
you just gotta give it time, and then it
it works. Of the stars, we have a comment from Star Drew, a question to all of us, and I want to ask Brendan first. Would you date a Jawa?
No.
Racism is strong.
I don't know about the furry. I don't know.
I have visual aids. We have hairy Jawa hands.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, have Jawas always been furry? Because I've never seen.
Pele pointed it out. She's like, so furry. So she's like, hairier than you'd think.
No, I take it back. Maybe I would if they had a nice personality.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. I mean, it's like having I guess they're not really mechanics, are they? They're more scrappers.
They're scrap. Oh yeah.
I mean, they could certainly get you all the parts you needed.
Yeah. Well, they get that what's warp something or another from.
Yeah. In fact, that same piece that we saw them use in A New Hope.
Yeah.
That black open the trash compactor. Now we know what it is.
And they even said that they popped underneath one of the Pike's train transports to pick that
these
thing
guys
up, so.
are jealous or crafty.
Resourceful. Oh yeah, for sure.
Brennan, can you confirm something for me? Is this the first time live action we've seen what appears to be a Womp Rat? Other than earlier in the episode, yeah.
I don't know. I think so.
I think so too. That sounds like what? How big does? Here's your trivia. How big does Luke say that they grow to be, or they're about?
No more than 2 meters.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no more than 2 meters.
I'm coming for your belt, Brennan. 2 meters. I got this.
You got your own belt, darn it.
Yeah, well, Brennan didn't have to make his.
I just had to wait a long time, but that's a different story. Oh no, he's left us.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I want everybody in the chat to let us know what your favorite part was. That gives us some good jumping off points. I loved how it started. Like right off the bat, like the butcher's getting butchered.
Well, yes, having it be like a butcher shot, that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
He cut a dude in half and the table.
Very rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you about to say BD1 though?
Oh my word! Seeing a BD1 droid.
Yes.
Was so cool.
And he was helping the whole time. He's like, "Hey, I got you. I got your light."
I don't know
and he kept telling me, he goes, "Light up, light up." He's even doing the map just like in the game.
But he was doing the thing just like they do in the game.
Yep. There you go.
It was his little happy dance for me that really just warmed my heart.
I loved just the fact that he took the test drive with the fighter through the same course as the pod race, the Bunty pod race. I mean, it's one of those things that just makes you go, Star Wars is great because how many of us were of a certain age came out of the Phantom Menace saying, oh my word, what has George Lucas done? And here we are 23 years later going, oh my gosh, I love this.
Right.
Star Wars is, they say this at Force Center. It's a journey that if you're willing to let yourself be taken along, you will find it to be more rewarding than what you initially thought it might have been.
When you say Force Center, you talk about Ken and Joseph's show?
Yeah, Ken and Joseph's podcast.
It's a great podcast.
Like, sometimes you just jump in the stream.
Was that a Streamlab notification?
That was a Streamlab notification.
Speaking of Brennan wished it into existence. You have access to that, Sean. Do you want to read off our first Streamlab?
Yeah, you jump in the Star Wars stream and it sweeps you along.
We do appreciate it. We do appreciate everyone stopping by. The thing is, I never remember. It's over here somewhere, right above Jesse's head. Streamlabs.com/flickinrail. AJ Lancaster, we appreciate you, bud, hopping in. Said, so when Bill Burr first showed up in Mando, people were like, so what planet is he from? Space Boston? And here's what makes more sense. Every planet has a Boston. Imagine a Boston hut. You're welcome.
Okay, it's just gonna be like this. Solo.
Yes, AJ. That's perfect. Yes. You got to imagine every single planet does have just the various cultures and dialects. Willing to
accept British accents in Star Wars.
Yeah. Everyone's
like,
from Britain.
Why not in Boston?
I'm trying to remember.
Everyone's from Space Britain.
Yeah, apparently.
There was an accent recently, and every time somebody like picks on an accent in Star Wars and like makes fun of it, I was like, nobody said anything about like most of the Empire being British people. Like, I don't understand why we can't have
Lord Vader. Yes.
Yeah, and there was people saying something about like DJ and like Last Jedi having to stutter. Oh, that's not Star Wars. Why not? Star Wars can be anything.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, see, Mayfield, his whole planet is Boston. Yes, 100%. Right. Everyone.
Yeah, planet Boston.
Yeah. If I were to say anything that was like it was slight, so slight. I feel like the the rebuilding the inn one was fun, had some great moments, but I do feel like it was maybe 5 minutes too long.
Move on, AJ.
You know,
yeah.
Was it
I'm going to slightly disagree.
That's fine. I do not feel strongly about it.
Was it maybe a little too long? Okay, sure. But we've seen this before with IG-11. We saw this with them rebuilding Fennec's torso.
Right.
I think it's the allegory of rebuilding. And
Sure.
maybe it went on a little long, but I think that
I'm not saying I didn't want
the series.
Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't want the scene, because like I said, I loved so much of it. It just like they were getting close to wrapping it up, and I was kind of like, okay, I know there's not a lot of episode left, but like let's kind of get through this, because everything else about the episode really clipped along. It was like boom, 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 boom.
If anything, I thought the part that took a while, but maybe it was meant for us to kind of sit with it and see his pain, was Din limping with the head on his belt, basically, to drop it off, and then limping to go find the underground bunker where the rest of...
For him struggling with being in that cult.
Yeah, possibly.
It's causing him injury that's slowing him down.
Yeah. But that part like took its time getting through that Halo town. So I thought that was interesting, that the floating thing in space. So that was the part where I was like, all right, how much more of this are we going to do? It's definitely slowed the pace down, at least from the very first scene where he's just wrecking shop, and then it brings you back down, and then it ramps back up again when you get the fight scene between him and Paz Vizsla.
Yeah.
What Galax is saying here is, I think, like, I thought it was a cute Easter egg seeing a BD unit that was, of course, introduced in Fallen Order, but that is kind of like saying, is every R2 unit R2D2? I think that it was just like a, hey, you'll recognize this, or IG-11, IG-88, right? There's no reason, unless they really start doing a deep dive into the droid in the show, there's no reason for it to be BD-1. But having that droid there was recognizable enough to still be a fun Easter egg.
And same in the Night of a Thousand Tears, right? In this scene, we see a bunch of KG droids.
Yeah. Oh my word, Terminator 2 vibes.
Right? Yes.
I said the same thing. Yeah. I just wanted to hear dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Well, that's what I said to Adam Wood on Twitter. I was like, you can hear this image. You can hear that iconic sound.
Very interesting. That the armor says it's Bo-Katan's fault.
Right.
That this all happened.
I think the truth lies in between Bo-Katan and the armor.
I think so too.
You know what I think might happen? I'm literally formulating this right now because you said that. I didn't even think about a double cross or a backstab or a difference of opinion where the armor. Does she have a name? Do you know, Brendan? Just the armor, right?
I think everyone's always.
Yeah, I don't think she has a name.
Okay.
Yeah.
She even says we were on the moon or whatever, right? They weren't on planet when all this happened. Yeah.
Right.
What if she or whoever was in charge at the time said, "Hey, this is the real Mandalorian sect. We're over here. We're doing our own thing. Go ahead. Here's how you get in. Here's how you attack and destroy all of the non-believers, basically." What if there was a double cross to take out the rest of the Mandalorian?
And you mean
so
because the Watch and Death Watch,
because the armor
them with the Empire.
She talks about them losing their way, so maybe she or they want to like repurify Mandalore again and get the way back.
Yep. And basically saying, hey, this is a means to an end. Get them out of our way so that we can build our society the way we want it to be, the way it should have been. You know what I mean? Like, it's when that fanaticism and people fight wars in the name of everything, but you go too far.
We're doing it the right way.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wonder if there's something to that, or if I'm just writing a story in my head.
Christianity. Everybody's been fighting for hundreds of years.
To add on that note. she is very protective of the sect and also always suspicious. The second that he shows up with a Beskar spear, she's like, let's melt that shit down.
Yeah.
Because she's like, if you were to use that against somebody wearing Beskar, you could pierce their armor. So she's like, I'm not letting you have a Beskar piercing weapon.
Speaking of which, what do we think she melted down to? I think we see little chainmail pieces. Yeah. I'm thinking we're gonna see like a mithril type shirt, for little Grogu.
Yeah,
that's little things that can go under his robes, his little baby Jedi robes.
I think that'd be really cool.
And it fits so nice and neat in the little package, which looks like Grogu's head because you got the ears sticking out.
Give him the chainmail. Grogu Baggins.
Yeah. Grogu Baggins, that's right. Let's get hashtag Grogu Baggins going. Allison says, so am I supposed to like Bo-Katan or not?
Well, I think,
yes.
I think that's going to be revealed in The Mandalorian because, as I like to point out, just because a character says something doesn't mean it is true. So just because the children on the watch saying, oh, Bo-Katan, she's, nah. Yeah, I think the true answer lies in the middle, but I think it will depend on what choices does Bo-Katan make.
And I think
once we hit season 3.
Bo-Katan, as well as, Mandalore and the Mandalorians, it's a complex group of people. Yeah. And I think that you have there's a lot of different sects. There's a lot of different, what's what I'm looking for, goals and things. It's just it's a whole political mess and things. And I think that with some truth to what the armor is saying is that the Darksaber and the right person might be what could unify Mandalore. And, wouldn't that be cool if Din, being a child not born on Mandalore, but a Mandalorian by creed, is the one to bring all the different types of Mandalorians together and say that this is the way.
Well, and there was another line from Din. Sorry, dog's barking. When she mentions, oh, Jedi need to shed attachments, and he goes, oh, that's the opposite of us, where basically says we're about, honor bound and what's the word he says?
Loyalty. Oh, he says solidarity and loyalty.
Yes.
Is the way of the Mandalorian.
Solidarity and loyalty. Going back to my theory that she or the sect itself was the ones who double-crossed the whole planet. And that is going to be like a heartbreak for him, because it's not just it's not just everything that I know where we have Bo-Katan, we have, Boba, even though he's not real Mandalorian. They're all taking their helmets off all the time. What? I thought we never took our helmets off, So he's already learning some stuff about the universe. And now he's going to see that actually everything he thought was a lie, because he was essentially their people, their culture was backstabbed by the very person who he put so much faith in. And so that solidarity and loyalty, it's going to be a heartbreak for him. And I think that's something the whole audience will feel.
It'd be cool to see for us, maybe not for them.
Right.
I did like, speaking of things that are like cool to see, but also like kind of tragic, is it was really cool seeing that flashback to something we've heard so much about, the Great Purge. But now we have to question
1,000 tears.
Right. We have to question, is Armor a reliable narrator?
Right.
But Moff Gideon seemed to be really proud of that and take a lot of responsibility. Do we see him again in the next season of Mandalorian? It sounds like Thrawn's still out there somewhere. Is that going to tie in to Mandalorian season 3? I know we're going to cover it in Ahsoka, but I think maybe both.
Go ahead. I think one of the interesting things I think we'll see is that the reason Bo-Katan didn't take the Darksaber from Din Djarin, I think, was because Moff Gideon called her on it in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And said, well, remember your culture as being like a ribbing or everything, like being like, well, you got to save face, But there is much going on that we don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I like Garth. I like your theory. However, I'm pretty sure Grogu's only about 50 right now, and I don't want to wait 400 years to see this happen for when he's old enough to
like
wield
50
the
years from
sabers.
now,
New
he
books.
would
New
probably
books.
still look younger than Anakin in Phantom Menace.
And new
Unless
books and comics.
unless that's the change that we all need and want, and they decide, you know what, Grogu's our new star. We're jumping forward. We're leaving the Skywalkers behind. We're jumping 300 years in the future. He's a troubled teenager, and he's out on his own.
That's what I want to see. I want to see us go way back and way forward.
Yeah,
Why not?
get away
Because
from this whole
I
area.
want to see the acolyte, go way
Mhm.
back, and then let's see
Mhm.
what's happening way later.
Right on.
Let's see. I'm looking at the photos here that you'd spent some hard
So
Well,
many
I
good
was-
moments. I mean,
I was doing my rewatch. We didn't talk much about the Rangers. I liked how they popped in, and we got Mr. Kim from Kim's Convenience. I can't. I can never remember the actor's name, but
Paul Sung Hung Lee or Seung.
yes,
I'm sure I didn't pronounce it right, but I remember his name.
seeing a B1 starfighter with X-wings is pretty cool.
Mr. Kim, Sneak Attack.
and he basically he called. He was like, hey. And I don't think he would have taken him in, even if Din would have been like, oh yeah, that was the Razor Crest was mine. I think he was more like in the realm of like, hey, you helped us out that one or something like that. I don't think he was.
I did love
after
him dipping out,
busting
though.
him. Yeah, he's like.
Now, question for you guys:
about
did you know who the other pilot was?
The actor? No.
Like stunt double from the
Yes.
Mandalorian.
Mhm.
The last episode of season
I
2.
obviously didn't know that upon first watch, but I did come across that information down the road.
That checks.
Yeah, and as seen in the poll that we have going now, which if you guys haven't voted yet, please do so. But Din saying Wizard here.
Wizard.
I asked how people felt about the episode.
That was
and let's see
great.
the results here.
Wizard.
That was great.
So I said, how do you guys feel about Chapter 5? And 82% of you said Wizard, 18% said pretty good, and we didn't have anybody saying meh or trash. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
And
for
did you
voting on
also catch the Mythosaur drop?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're told of the Mythosaur
Dude,
rising up.
I have been talking about the Star Wars Christmas special or holiday special like 4 different times this season. They keep dropping stuff.
Immediately thrown out the window because the very next line is all of that is just legends. None of it was real.
Right, but it's still a reference. Whether
still
or not
a reference?
it's canon, it's
Yes.
still a reference.
But I think that was definitely a dig at the audience. Like, hey, let the
Or-
legends go.
Or it's the classic case of saying, those aren't real anymore.
Yeah.
And on Mandalore, they are real.
Right.
Well, we might not get a Mythosaur, but Boba's going to be riding a Rancor into battle. You can bet your baby on that.
Question for you guys: Did you guys rewatch the episode? Watch it more than once?
I just watched it the one time.
Okay.
Watched it the
So
one.
I didn't notice the very first fight scene how much he was struggling.
Yeah, it was
With,
throwing
like-
it around like it was a giant, like 2-handed axe.
Yeah. So like I noticed that he wasn't good with it, but I didn't notice that he was struggling with it. But upon rewatch, when I was going back to like get these clips, and after she's kind of explaining in this scene, like it grows heavier with each hit, etc. You're fighting it. You can see he is literally like he starts off okay at the beginning, but the longer that fight goes, he is like physically trying to lift it more. And so they did a good job, especially for those who go back and double up on it. You can definitely see the way that he was responding to it in the first fight.
Mm,
I thought that was interesting.
indeed.
Yeah. And I like specifically that line, going back to the line we were saying about what the Mythosaur is. She says that that's just a legend. And as we know, all the Star Wars content that is considered non-canon now is Star Wars Legends. And so I thought that was maybe a double.
To quote Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, Garth is dropping knowledge.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it was not. It was a Tana dragon.
where did the Mythosaur originally pop up? Because I thought
Yeah.
I remember hearing that before. I mean, I know that little guy in Mandalorian brought up. He said like the Mandalorians used to ride the Mythosaur.
Queel.
Thank you. It's been a while. I miss that guy.
All I will say though is reminder of Ahsoka Tano's line. She said there's always a bit of truth in legends.
Yeah.
Ah, which is, Thrawn came from Legends.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point.
Hashtag get me Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn.
Absolutely. Why not?
He's already the voice and he's already a good actor.
Absolutely. I think the only reason we didn't get Ashley Eckstein is physically it didn't seem like it quite lined up.
Yeah.
Even though her voice is so great. And also
Lars Mikkelsen does look like Thrawn.
Yeah. And it's perfect. And Katie Sackhoff was already a physical.
Katie Sackhoff was already, and she was already from Battlestar Galactica.
So that worked out great. All right, well, let's start rounding things off with predictions for not Chapter 4. I have not updated that. It's going to be Chapter 6. Give me a second. Can you guys guess what happened last week? See who gets the closest.
Let's see.
All right.
Do we think that we're going to actually see Din go to try to find Grogu, or do we think that might happen off screen, or they'll just delay it until
I feel like that's the biggest question.
Maybe they'll do it as a Mandalorian season 3.
We need a hook for season 3, right? Like we really want to see. I mean, we're gonna watch it anyways, but it'd be nice to be like, I can't wait to see this when the season starts.
I'd like to see just a single scene of him going, like looking at a map and going, I don't know where to start. I don't know where they took him. All right, I'll get back to this. Let me go help you now, and that way that we can put it on the shelf and we can come back to it once Mando.
Does he go back to Ahsoka to try to find Luke? Because how does he know where Luke is? Where's Luke?
Yeah, no.
Like how is this random bounty hunter
maybe he told Luke
Skywalker?
where to find him.
Just mentally, because he dipped. Luke walked out
as
that
far
door.
as we know the story, this is before Luke officially created his Jedi Academy on whatever planet that was.
Right. Well, do we ever in Force Awakens? Do we ever know explicitly how old Kylo is?
Yes. Well, he was born in the year after Return of the Jedi.
So then,
five
this
APY.
This is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right?
This is 5 years after that. So
he's a young kid. He's a young kiddo. We might see a Ben
Kylo's
Solo.
a 4-year-old at this point.
Okay.
I mean, he probably wouldn't be with Luke.
Luke doesn't start studying with Ben until 10 years. When Ben was 10 years old.
So that's in the next 4 to 5 years, though.
Do you think there's any truth to the rumors of Han Solo showing up? Because maybe Han Solo and Luke, we get a redemption of not getting them ever in the sequel trilogy together, and getting Harrison and Mark in the scene together. Maybe a little baby, labeled Baby Ben.
I don't know.
I don't see Harrison doing anything. They might grab all of them.
Well, you'd be surprised. He did do.
Well, just get. Oh, come on, friend of the Christian Harloff's buddy. Why can't I think of his name? Jamie Costa. Jamie Costa in there, to do the Harrison voice, and then just do a little CGI de-aging or something.
I see.
William Harold is saying it is Dave Filoni next week lending his directing chops, so Ahsoka is possible. We'll see Han out back having a smoke after dealing with this problem.
It's going to say his kids, only 4. So.
Lastly, I will agree with Garth in saying 2 DH CGI characters would look awful. Absolute dumpster fire. I still cringe whenever people do flashbacks to the finale of season 2 of Mandalorian. I'm like, that sure didn't look great. It's a fantastic episode, but I think they should have kept the hood on. If we saw this much of Mark Hamill, we would know it's Luke, and we see like the black glove. That's enough. We know it's Luke. It was worse once it came off.
What made it so much worse is everyone online doing such a better job. Like an hour after the episode was
it was Henry Cavill all over again, right? Like people like demustaching Henry Cavill online better than Warner Brothers.
There was literally people pulling out their phones and go, look, there is literally an app that can do this job better than you did, and then you broadcasted the show. So that was the problem.
Do you guys think that the war is going to take off within like the last 15 minutes of the next episode? Because we're closing in. Last 2 episodes. I would think it's a 2-part finale.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to start war right off the bat.
I think they should. I think maybe Mando's a little. I think Mando's a little late. Like not too late, but like I think they are getting into it when he shows up.
I think they started with a bang. That's my guess.
I wonder exactly how much of a war we're gonna get. You know what I mean? Because it's not like Boba has an army per se. He has a bunch of individual, great, fantastic fighters, but we're talking 15 to 20 at the most.
Is Danny Trejo in this episode? That's why I need
Yes.
I want to see a
Yes.
montage similar to the Tuscans learning to ride the speeders. I need a montage of him learning to ride the Rancor and
Yeah.
falling off and getting back on, and Danny Trejo standing off to the side laughing at him the whole time.
Yep.
Do we see surviving Tuscans? Because there were bodies that were
I
missing.
hope so,
That's what I
yes.
would like to see. Yeah.
Last possible minute, we hear, "Arr!" and on the ridge are a bunch of Tuscans.
Hell yeah, that's what I want. Oh, Tuscans on speeder bikes.
Led by the female
On
warrior.
speeder bikes.
Yes.
Led by the female warrior.
I think, here's my prediction for our next episode. It's going to end. I think things are getting out of hand. Boba Fett is losing his footing in the Jabba's palace. And you see him go down the stairs, and he opens up the gate to the Rancor and says, "Hungry, buddy?" Or something along those lines. And then episode 7 is going to kick off with Boba riding Billy the Rancor.
He goes, "Let's ride."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a bantha.
And then he looks back and he says, "For Frodo." They charge in the back.
Yep.
Garth says if they're on speeder bikes, they could be the Tuscan riders.
Hey.
Any last thoughts on what might possibly happen next episode?
Nope, because I didn't expect we would see an entire episode of The Mandalorian this one, so I have no idea how. I wonder how much they'll jump back and forth, and if we are done with the flashbacks, because the only thing left to see, I think, would be Detective Boba going, "Where's my armor? Okay, let me go to the Jawas. Oh, you guys gave it to Did they give it straight to Cod? Yeah, he got it from the Jawas, right?
And got it from the Jawas, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to remember if he got it from a Tuscan who got it from the Jawas, but yeah. And then that's the only thing left to see is him doing the detective.
Best prediction. This is the best.
Going after Cad Bane.
Oh, that's a good thing.
This is go make some baby bandas.
Make baby bandas.
Well, yeah, I agree with you guys, and I cannot wait. You know what? This is the most excited I've been since before the show started.
For a new episode.
Yeah, because before it started, I was like, oh, I can't wait for Book of Boba to start. And then it was not so much excitement. It's just like, oh, well, we'll see what happens next week. Now I'm like, can't wait. Mm-hmm. I think things are going to happen. So it's amazing what Din can do. All right. Well,
indeed it is.
With that, I do want to say thank you very, very much, Brendan. I know you do have to go here shortly, but I want to thank you so much for coming on the channel. I know you got a lot of things going on. Do you want to let the people watching know where they can find you and what you got going on in the internet sphere?
You can find me on Twitter at Brennan Mystical. You can find my podcast on Anchor and Spotify. Page Turners They Were Not, where I talk all things Star Wars. And don't worry, that's not an insult to the legends. And then...
No, it's a call out to the best Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi.
Yes. Yes, thank you. And I also... The FCL Season 2 is starting soon. And I will be back competing. As will the Wingblade. So we shall see how that goes. So you can find all my misadventures there.
And I'm coming for Thomas Harper in the Star Wars division. Never in a million years.
Even I'm not that crazy.
60 days.
All right, but that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, Sean, outside of Flickin' Real doing flicking fantastic things, where can people find you?
You can find me on my Wiki Flickin' Reel page, only Flicks and Reels. Also here on at Sean Wingblade and
www.flickyreal
yes.
Or Flicky Leaks.
Only Flicks.
Flickopedia.
No.
All right.
No, let's not do that. Jesse, what are we doing this Saturday night? Saturday night. You're doing something Saturday morning. I'm not doing it. You're doing something Saturday night.
I am so glad that also I don't have that image ready. But wait, hang on. I can get it. But first,
while
before
you're
Saturday,
clicking around, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say before Saturday, I want to remind everybody, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit on Saturday, but February 1st, Allison Salamoni's first episode of the long-awaited, much-anticipated Behavior Geekology episode 1. It's going to be dropping on Anchor, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcast. Basically, if you listen to stuff, you'll be able to find this on our channel. Just look up Flick and Reel or Behavior Geekology. You will find it. Make sure to follow Allison at Allison Salamoni and check out our Instagram page that has been busy with all the latest news at Flick and Reel Bandcast.
May I just include my
please
endorsement of Allison's podcast?
Did you get to listen to it?
Not yet. Allison was kind enough to come on my podcast last week, and where we talked Star Wars, and we talked about her upcoming project, and I am so excited, and I can't recommend it enough to people. She pitched me what the idea is about, and I gotta say, to anyone interested, get involved. This is gonna be cool.
It's gonna be good, and I know that she recorded her second episode already. That I haven't gotten to listen to. Very excited for it. I know she's got a guest. I won't spoil the who's and the what's and the how's, but I know the first episode's phenomenal. Can't wait to listen to it. And as Sean brought up, we do have a big thing happening. Not just only our news and views show in the morning at 9 a.m. PST, but starting, the stream will be starting at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, Saturday night, and that is our watch along for The Room. Look at this lineup. Is Tommy Wiseau actually going to show up? We don't know yet. Working on it. But we got Allison Salamoni, Mara Kanopic. That's actually an older picture. But anyway, so we have Mara Kanopic, Rachel Silvestrini, that guy on the right, Jeff Alterman, Adam Collins said he's going to show up on there, and Sean Wingblade.
Oh my word.
As well. Maybe Maddie Gunner. I don't know. It's going to be a party, and I'm sure there's going to be alcohols. So make sure to join us for that. It's going to be a really good time. I did not hint it. It's not true.
Lisa.
Yeah. You
didn't put up the new picture with me on there, but you can. I'll do it. I was like,
oh, hi, Mark.
I was doing the same thing as Tommy. I had to recreate it just to make it fun.
Oh,
it'll be uploaded. Oh, hi, Mark. Hi, Sean. Brendan, I hope I forget what state are you in, Brendan? I forget what time.
I'm in California.
You're in California. So you're in PST. Are you gonna join us for that? You gonna pop in the chat? Come hang out?
Oh, you bet I will.
Perfect. We were discussing that because the whole video is on YouTube multiple times, I don't think there's really a copyright issue, so we're probably just gonna screen share it. We'll have it on there and everybody can watch it with us.
Okay.
It's gonna be a good time.
We'll see how
fun is the right word.
Yeah.
Yes, fun is the right word, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down for pornographic imagery. I don't know, but anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us on the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5 review, Return of the Mandalorian. It's been a good time. It's been a great time. Couldn't do anything of what we do without you guys. Until next time, keep it real.
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
This is the sound of dun, 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 dun. It's the Flick and Reel Show.